Okay, man. Well, we're excited about this week, like we are all weeks. We've had a couple of days from playing K-State, tough ball game. Started our preparation for a really good Kansas team. Obviously, Hall of Fame head coach and Coach Self, and a program we have a ton of respect for, and always have in this league. And again, one of the best places to play in college basketball. You talk about going up to Lawrence and playing the Allen Fieldhouse. Doesn't get any better than that in college basketball.
Kind of about that last scheduled trip to the fall. Do you have a good memory, and then also what makes it so difficult among all the difficult places to play?
Well, I think for one, I think they've got great basketball fans. Joe, their fan base is very knowledgeable about basketball, and they respect basketball at a high level. We've gone in there with some really good teams and really good players, and T.J. Ford's team, our Final Four team, went in there and we lost a possession game in there. We felt like we should have won, but they had a good team too, and they were a Final Four team that year as well. And think of the game with Kevin Durant. We go in there to win the Big 12 championship. We have to win that game, and the first half he put on over there, the show he put on was an incredible display of offensive basketball. I mean, they threw pros at him, and they couldn't really guard him over there, and the crowd was in awe. They were in awe of his performance in that building. We came up a little short and ended up losing the Big 12 regular season championship in that game. And then I think about, in 11 when we went over there with started two freshmen, and Tristan Thompson and Corey Joseph were in the starting lineup, and I think we start the game and we're down 13-2. And, I said, Coach, you want to call timeout? And he's like, no, let them figure it out, and it was the one time I know we won when I was here, and stuff with Coach. That was the one victory I had in Allen Fieldhouse there, but we started the game 13-2, we were down. But that building, again, they play at an incredible level, but that building brings a lot of energy to their team, and it's been tremendous over the years in the Big 12.
Rodney, could you envision at some point trying to schedule Kansas a home and home perhaps?
Yeah, I mean, we talked about it. I talked to Coach Seth this summer about it a little bit, continue to play, and didn't really talk about home and home. Talked about neutral site, We play all the time over in Kansas City, in the conference tournament, We love to bring them back around here in Central Texas somewhere and play here in Central Texas somewhere. I think it'd be obviously a high-level game in this area. It'd be a high-level game back in their area as well. So, we've had some discussions about it for sure.
They got an awesome kid on their team, KJ Adams. Would you let him get away if you'd recruit him?
Don't get me on. Hey, you trying to get me in trouble with Shaka right now, man? I love Shaka. Shaka's a good friend of mine. Shaka doesn't make he doesn't make any mistakes in recruiting. He's a high level recruiter. You know what? You can't take everybody. You know what I mean? I mean, KJ's been great for KU and has had a great run in his time there. But we can make a case of that at Texas. To where again, when I was here before, we didn't take C.J. Geralds, and he was a really good player. We took A.J. Abrams, and Gerald's let us know about it every time at Baylor, you know what I mean? So, but you can't take everybody, you got to take the guys that you feel are the best fits for you, and he's been a great fit for those guys.
Coach Caden came alive against Houston, battling under the boards, doing pivots. How's he doing? And do you see him returning to the double-digit 20 points game, coming into the March?
Yeah, Terry, I'll tell you what, Caden gave us a lot of great glimpses early, coming back from really two major, surgeries, in both shoulders. That's never easy, and then he, first conference game, he gets hit in the back, and now he's got to deal with the back. So he's got to have a number of different issues, before really getting himself fully back playing at the level we think he can play, and even with all that, this year was going to be a transitional year for him from going from being a defender, rebounder, screener to actually trying to be a focal point and scoring the post a little bit. So, it's been a work in progress, and I think you won't see his best basketball until through next season sometime. Where he has a full summer, full spring, full fall. Now you're going to have a guy I think that you'll see that'll make a lot of strides and be a much improved guy in terms of scoring the ball in the paint. But to your point, he has played more aggressive in terms of trying to score the basketball. Gave us some great flashes against Houston, who does a great job defending in the post. And he carried that over into the game against K-State, and so he's definitely being more aggressive, and we need him to be that way.
RT, what have you seen out of this year's Kansas team? What's it going to take to get a win on Saturday?
You know what? Another really good team. I mean, this year, McCullough stepped up a little bit what Wilson was last year in terms of being a big-time scorer for him. I mean, he's a 20-point scorer, right now. And, Coach Self's had some 20-point scorers, and he's one of those guys right now for him, And, you got Hunter inside. He's a big load in there and stuff. He can score in the paint. He can score outside as well, just like the Sioux. Those guys can pick and pop on the perimeter. So he has an inside presence. He has a really good guard. And you got Harris, who's been a mainstay. He's played on a national championship team, point guard, starting point guard. So anytime you have a guy that started in a national championship game and won a national championship, you're going to have a chance every year to be the favorite to win the league, So they've got another really good ball club. They've had some other young players emerge for them as well. And they're playing really good right now. And they always play great in Allen Fieldhouse.
You don't have that many big men in the college game like they have. How do you tweak your defense to handle him inside?
Well, again, I think it's not going to be a one guy, try to do the job. It's going to be by committee, and even then, you're not going to shut Hunter down. I mean, Hunter's, obviously, arguably one of the best big men in college basketball. You just can't let him have one of those great nights, where, he's 25, 30 points in the game, but you're not gonna stop him from scoring. We got to do a great job of having great ball pressure to try to limit, opportunities and help our guys that are trying to defend in the paint.
Coach, you talking about ball pressure. Is Mr. Belbay, I don't know how to say his first name,
Doge Balbay.
Is he practicing with the team? And what happens if just 1% of his aggression bleeds over to this team?
Yeah, Doge is one of those guys that looks like he can still play, but he doesn't want to play anymore. We look like we can play a little bit, but we don't. There's no playing going on. He's a lot younger, way younger than myself. But no, I think he's taking great pride and great joy in just passing on, information and mentoring our guys right now on the sidelines, and just talking to those guys, communicating to those guys what it takes to try to be elite, especially on the defensive end, and even in pick and roll situations, talking those guys through, playing at a high level, reading tags, defending the ball, how you guard in pick and roll situations. So he's been really, really good working with our perimeter players and talking with those guys on how to defend.
RT, what do you need to see in these last 5 games to know that you're ready to make the push you want to make in the postseason?
Well, again, we're one game at a time, Bob. One at a time. I mean, we got a huge challenge against a team that plays extremely well, in their building, and team that was picked to win the league. So that's really all we have in front of us right now, and it's really kind of been our approach the whole time. We have 40 minutes in front of us that we've got to go compete at a very high level on their home court, and we can't let the chips fall from there. We try to get better with our opportunities in practice, to continue to work and get better as a group as well in that regards. But you just try to continue to get better, try to play your best basketball this time of year.
I know Nick Cody is working through an injury, but Cam Scott's putting up good numbers in South Carolina. What have you seen from your high school guys in their playoffs?
Yeah, good young players, good young talents, just like any young player, and even young players we have in our program right now, Joe, they've still got to continue to work on their bodies so they're physically ready to come in and compete at this level here. But they've had great high school, seasons. Cam's, probably going to be player of the year, in his areas. And his team's going to have a chance to probably win a state championship. Trey's played extremely well this year on the national circuit over at Link. And Nick had a good year. He'll be coming back from an injury that, he'll have some time to get ready for the summer.
Coach, you talked about how whenever Tyrese plays well, it's because he's locked in on defense. For Max, he's been in a little bit of a shooting slump, not quite reaching, 20, 25 point mark. How do you get him going again against a team like Kansas that you're going to need him to be at his best?
Well, Max is always big old bullseye on him as soon as he walks in the building. You know, he's always a game plan. People game plan for him. You know, they guard him at an incredible level. You know, K-State, you know, put Cam Carter on him. You know, and the guys always try to put bigger size on him, and really just ball hawk him the whole time. You know, but Mac affects the game a lot more than just scoring. Everybody looks at his points and things of that nature there. I think he understands that being a primary ball handler, he's going to be measured on how well his team performs and how if they win. You know, not by how many points he scores and all that good stuff, but he's an elite passer. He makes other guys around him better. And his defense is something I think that didn't get talked about as much as it probably needs to. He's improved his defense from the start of the season to where we are right now. He plays extremely hard on that end of the floor. He did a great job against Cam Carter the other night. You know, and Cam, they needed him to score the ball, and Max did a great job of contesting shots and making it difficult for him to get into the paint. So, those are other areas that he really impacts the game at a high level.
RT, piggybacking off of Terry's question with Caden, when you have a guy who goes through, come off the shoulder surgery and then has the back, do you kind of have to reevaluate, hey, this is maybe what we thought we were going to get out of him, but this kid's banged up and we got to kind of reevaluate, what he can give us because this is physicality?
Yeah, no, Eric, I think, he had shoulder surgeries this year, but he played through pain last year and didn't get surgery, so we knew he was a kid that could tolerate pain and play through pain. He played through the whole season last year, and just barely hanging on, but he was out there and, giving it his all to be out there and everything. So I think a lot of times, as you get into the grind, you get into the season, everybody's got something going on. And I give him a lot of credit for being able to push through and coming back from two shoulder surgeries is not an easy task, you know what I mean? And you have no fall, you have no summer, so you have no time to continue to get better with your game. You're thrown right in the fire and you got to go. So, no, I tip my hat to him in terms of what he's done this season, and I think we're getting exactly what we thought we'd get out of Caden, and I think the best is yet to come in terms of what he's going to be able to do because he's a talented young big.
Rodney, when it gets to be this late in the season, guys are maybe tired, guys are maybe banged up. Do you alter your practice plan in terms of live work and physicality just to try to keep guys fresher?
Yeah, this time of year, when you get into about, a little over the, good part of your conference race is just about done right now. You're going more than an hour on the floor where you're going live. You're probably going too long. This time of year, it's not about getting guys in and banging them around. It's about staying fresh, continue to have legs to be able to play and play with the physicality and play with the speed you want to play with, So, we don't come in. We rarely go past an hour in terms of live work where we're getting really bone on bone. Like tomorrow, we'll cut it way back in terms of what we do and stuff. You can't leave it on the practice floor. You got to have it in the games this time of year.
Coach, I want to ask you about Johnny Furphy. Speaking of, Kansas' young talent, kind of a guy who's burst onto the scene since entering the starting lineup. How do you, regardless of Kevin McCullough's status, whether he goes or not, how do you kind of plan to account for Furphy? Yeah,
Furphy's playing really well right now. He's a guy that's emerged for them. They needed another guy to emerge that gave them some shooting, and he's done that at a high level for them. He's one of the guys that has stepped in and made shots for him, and he shot the ball extremely well in Lawrence. But he's made shots on the road too. But he's a shot maker with size that can run the floor. He's a great back cutter, and he's a guy that does a great job of rebounding on the other end as well. So, a slight version of Dick, from last year, is what he's been able to do for them.
Rodney, what do you think is the key to kind of getting through any mental and physical fatigue at this point in the season?
Well, I think it all gets down to having balance in your life. I always tell our guys, they have to have balance. We as coaches have to have balance in our lives. Obviously we have a passion for what we do, and obviously no one wants to win more than we want to win because it's what we do, and it's basically our life. But at the end of the day, I think you have to be able to really take a step back, take a deep breath. If you love reading, read something different, watch a movie, do something you enjoy doing, go work out, you know what I mean? But you got to have a balance. Go to church, You know what I mean? Just have a balance in your life. Spend time with your loved ones. You know, talk to your loved ones on the phone. You know, but take some time to take a deep breath, because every night in this league, you know, it's like an NCAA tournament game. I mean, there's no nights off in our league, and we have the best league in the country, and from top to bottom. I mean, it's the best it's ever been in my 14 years in Big 12 play. We've always had a great league from a basketball standpoint, but from top to bottom, it's never been this way. You know, where every night, if you don't come play, anybody can beat you, whether you're at home or on the road and stuff. So, you know, that's the difference, I think. And in the venues you play in, there's no easy venues to play in this league. You go in every venue. We haven't been to a venue yet where it wasn't sold out. So, you know, again, but that makes a great league, great venue, great players, and great coaches. You know, so that's why we have the #1 league in the country.
Anybody else? Thank you all. Appreciate it.
Okay, no problem.